I went from this to this in 9 months. Stick around to find out how. Hello everyone, semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Sorry the picture's a little dark because it's extremely cloudy, well, because it's raining. It's not raining hard, and it's not supposed to rain much harder than it is now for the rest of the day. I always catch those loud trucks just as I'm getting ready to start. And here comes another one. I can't tell if it's a loud one or not, but my goodness. Of course, now that I'm starting a video, there's a line of 4 or 5 trucks coming down the street. What in the world? Oh well, it happens. I wish I didn't have to walk this part of the parking lot to record on, but that's just, that's the way it is out here right now. Sorry about the hat, but it is raining, so got to keep my head dry, sort of. I don't have to, but I like to. But anyway, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm glad you found it. You might be asking yourself, what in the world am I watching here, Bob? Well, what you're watching is me walk. I do try to come up with some interesting things to talk about. Some days I'm successful, some days not so much. But I do try. The main thing is that 9 months plus ago, I could not do this. I could barely stand up for 2 to 2.5 minutes without severe pain. Now I'm out here walking every day. I had been averaging between 5 and 6 miles a day, and for my personal March challenge, I'm trying to get to 15,000 steps a day. Which, if I remember right exactly, was like right at 6.25 miles, which doesn't seem like a big jump, but if I can get there every day this month except the couple of travel days I got scheduled, then I'll be pretty happy with it. I am just shy of my 60th birthday, and really the whole point of all this is to show you that it's never too late to change your life. For those of you returning to the channel, thank you. I'm glad you came back. Welcome back. Let's help get the word out, because that's, besides showing people that it's never too late to change their life, we want to get that message out to as many people as possible. So you could really help the channel out by hitting the subscribe button, giving it a thumbs up, maybe leave a comment down below, even if that comment is just "Hi Bob," or "Man, does that hat look stupid on you, Bob." Any comment actually helps the channel. Before I get into today's topic, I want to revisit vitamin C just a little bit, because I've been getting quite a few questions on this, so perhaps I did not make myself clear. The recommended daily allowances of anything, whether it be vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin C, whatever, those recommendations are created by taking basically X number of people off the street and running a test to see what their level is, and they take an average. That's how it's done. The key point to getting enough vitamin C in your diet from a meat-only diet is that it is a meat-only diet. You might have a few low-carb veg if you're ketovore or even keto. But because vitamin C competes, we all know I get in trouble when I try to do science. But the way I understand it is that vitamin C competes with sugar on the receptors where it's absorbed. So if you're eating a bunch of carbs, you need more vitamin C to be able to overcome all that sugar in your system and actually get some vitamin C into your system. If you're not eating carbs, you don't need near as much vitamin C. If this wasn't true, then explain to me why there's not a single documented case of scurvy anywhere in the peer-reviewed literature talking about people on meat-only diets and getting scurvy. Not one. Not, I can't remember his name, Rodriguez, 39-year carnivore that Professor K interviewed. Professor K himself, Kelly Hogan, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Berry, all of them. The list goes on and on and on of long-term carnivore success stories. You would think that at least one of them would be showing signs of vitamin C deficiency. And they're not. But the key point is you're not pouring carbs down your neck. It's as simple as that. I had one guy ask about, what about all those sailors that got scurvy? They only had meat. That's completely wrong. As I understand it, and history was one of my better subjects back in school. But now, granted, it's been 40 years since I went to school. Actually, more than that now, but okay, so 45. But the average sailor back in the day did not get meat. The officers, the privileged, got meat and fresh fruits and things like that while they were at sea. The average crew member got basically gruel. That was their sustenance. So if you're going to try to refute something I say, please at least bring accurate science with you. Because I can be wrong. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. But if you want to convince me I'm wrong, and what you're saying goes against all the thousands of years that we've lived as carnivores, sustaining ourselves primarily on a diet of the muscle meat and the associated fat of large ruminant animals, the megafauna, that we used to be able to hunt. If what you're saying goes against that, you better have some darn good research to back it up. And actual research. We talked about how to study the studies just a couple of videos ago. So just because, your mom was a dietitian or your dad was a doctor, that's not science, that's opinion. Okay, so that's enough of that. What I really wanted to talk to you about, not so much you guys here on the channel, but I thought it was an important enough message to put out there. I've talked about this a little bit before, but I want to do it again. What are you waiting for? I see a lot of people in Facebook groups. They ask a ton of questions, which is good, but then they follow them up with, well, I'm just, making sure I know everything there is to know about this before I get started, or I'm going to start X. I'm going to start this next week, next month. I'm going to start. What are you waiting on? You don't have to know everything there is to know about it. Just start. Just get going. I believe it was Albert Einstein that said doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. If you don't start, you won't know what would have happened in 30, 60, 90 days or a year. You'll just be in the same place at this time next year, thinking about what you might do in the following year to make things better for yourself. So what are you waiting for? Just get out there and do it. I was having an interesting conversation with a fellow YouTuber this morning. And we were talking about some of the comments we get. And we both have said the exact same thing. Jet overhead. We both have said the exact same thing on our channel. And I will say it again here. Because you will occasionally get those commenters that come in and say, well, you may be feeling better now, but just you wait. You're going to have a heart attack and die, or you're going to get scurvy and die, or you're gonna. I don't think I can say this enough. I'm not worried about any of that. When I think back to what my life was like, and it'll be 10 months in 7 days here. If I think back to what my life was like 10 months ago, and what it's like today, even if you came to me and said, Bob, if you don't stop what you're doing right now, you're going to die next week. Well, that might make me a little sad to know that my journey's almost over. But I would not trade one day of a healthy lifestyle for several months of how I was before. Not even a little. I've been kind of walking okay already. I'm walking a little faster today. As you can tell, I'm a little bit more out of breath than usual. So I'm trying to get some laps in before the rain comes. But the second part of this video is going to be me in the kitchen again, because I've got a big package of stew meat out thawing, and I'm going to show you how I cook that up to make stew meat come out fairly tender and very tasty. So it's another cheap alternative, because, you know, who doesn't love sirloin tips? But I certainly, wow, there's a lot of traffic today. I love sirloin tips, but just like any other of the really high quality meats, you know, sirloin tips, ribeyes, that kind of stuff, for me to eat that kind of stuff on a regular basis, I could only afford to eat about half the month. And buying it grass-fed, I could only afford to eat it maybe 3 or 4 days, maybe 5 days a month, and I'd have to fast the rest of the time. And I don't want to fast that much. I like eating. And that's another thing. I wasn't going to bring this up, but I feel like I have to. If you're on one of these beginners sites, you know, trying to help people, if you don't know an answer, don't make something up just to be trying to give them an answer. If you don't know for sure, go find a Dr. Berry video or a Dr. Chafee video or a Paul Mason video and share that in the comments. I bring this up because I saw a really stupid comment this morning on one of the Facebook groups that I follow. Somebody had asked, and it was a good question. He's like, I've been at this for 2 weeks, and I forget what it was. She said, I lost 8 or 9, 10 pounds really quick, but now I've stopped. Is this normal? And I, of course, would have answered, yeah, of course it's normal. Our weight loss will pause as our body catches up and heals. But this person felt the need to jump in there and say, well, yeah, give it another couple of weeks and you'll stop eating so much. Because if you wait till, give it another couple of weeks, I forget exactly what he said, but he's basically talking about as your body adjusts, you'll be able to portion control more so that you can eat less. I forget exactly how he worded it, but it was basically an eat less, move more idiot. And I even said, I'm sorry if I've misinterpreted the advice you've given here, but given that the biggest problem that the carnivore coaches that are actually qualified to be carnivore coaches run into in the early stages is people just aren't eating enough. And here you are talking about portion control. We've been taught our entire lives to portion control, eat less, move more, don't eat so much. And the advice we need to be giving these new people that are just getting started is eat more. Eat more. It will save you a lot of problems in the long term. Eat more. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. You know, I was down. You know, I told him I was, you know, I've been eating 2.5 to 3 pounds of meat a day, and I'm down 140 pounds in 9 months. And of course he said, well, before you started that, were you eating too little? And I, of course, said, of course I was eating too little of the appropriate kind of food, the food that is actually food for humans. It is almost impossible to overeat if you are eating the muscle meat of large ruminant animals and their associated fat. Now, if you trim the fat and just do lean meat, you can overeat on that. And there is, obviously, too much of anything is bad. You know, yes, you can. It is possible to overeat protein. It is possible to overeat fat. It's obviously possible to overeat carbohydrates. Look at America and how fat we are. Look at the entire Western world and how fat we are. Of course it's easy to overeat carbohydrates. But too much water can also be a problem. Too much of anything can be bad for us. But I just, this guy with his answer in it, if it wasn't in a beginner form, I probably wouldn't have reacted the way I did, but these people with just a little bit of knowledge, or stupid knowledge, trying to give advice to beginners, and then they're giving bad advice. That's the problem with YouTube. Which is why I've always said, don't listen to me, I'm just an old dumb retired truck driver. Here's the people I follow and where I'm getting my information: Dr. Barry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Paul Mason, Jason Fung, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But that is where we're at. But that's what I've got for you today. Stick around, I'm going to show you how I make my my stew meat. And that'll be right after this. With the magic of editing, it'll be like I was never gone, but that's going to be several hours from now. If I manage to screw up the cooking part of the video, just in case this is the very end of the video, don't forget to get out there, be 1% better today. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. And it begins. The yellow pollen of North Carolina has begun to fly. This is just one day's worth. You can imagine what this is going to be like in another week or so. On to the cooking part. Okay, here we go. We're going to cook some stew meat so that it comes out really good. Like I said, this is kind of a cheaper cut of meat. But the first thing I do, as you can see, I've got the stove on medium low. I just get myself 1 cup of water and pour it in there. And then, because this is that big skillet that I don't have a lid for, I once again just take my cutting board, set it over the top of the pan to keep the heat in, and I'm going to set my timer for about an hour and a half, and I'll see you when that much is done. Okay, these have been simmering away for about an hour and a half now, and you can see they're very, very good. They should end up very tender. Now from here, with the lid off, I want to turn the heat up to about 7 to get that water boiling off, so I don't have to pick the whole thing up and drain it quite as much. So after that water boils off a little bit, I'll be back with you. Okay, I did pick up the pan and dump some of the water off because I got tired of waiting. And now for the fun step. Seems like most of my recipes call for a half stick of butter, and there it is, a half a stick of butter. We'll let that melt down, and then we'll stir this up, get this all browned up, and we're getting really close to being done here, folks. I'll be back with you one more time. Now you can see we're getting there. The butter is melted. The ends are starting to get browned up here. I'm trying to get this to there. I think you can sort of see what's going on at this point. I throw some salt into it. That may or may not be enough. I might have to salt it after it's done again. But then from here, I just keep kind of stirring and turning. You see some of the edges are starting to get some brownish to them. These should turn out very, very tender, or, you know, as tender as you can expect stew meat to get. Let that go just a little bit more, and then it'll be time to put it up on my cutting board and eat it up. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little Cooking with Bob session here at the end of my video. It's been a pretty good day today. I got 15,000 steps in again. It was harder than yesterday because it was raining this morning, so I didn't get that initial surge of laps in to raise my step count up. But overall, it was easier today because I'm at 15,000 steps and my legs are much less sore than they've been the last couple of days. We'll see how it goes tonight when I actually lay down and get ready for bed. But that's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Have a great day, everyone. I will see you tomorrow.